Hello my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today I have another book talk video to share with you guys. And today we are talking about Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. I just finished this book about an hour ago, and since then I've been staring off into space, unsure of what to do next. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna talk to you guys about this book. So, how the format for this video is going to be is first, I'm going to give you a little warning about the content of this. And then I'll give you the brief, synopsis, and then we'll move on into, I was going to say the spoilers. I don't even know if I can say any spoilers without this video being flagged. But first of all, look at that cover. I saw this cover. I was like, that's cute. That is cute. And then, the back of the book. I'll read you the back of the book to get us started. How about that? Let me get my spectacles on. Okay. From the beloved author of cult sensation Convenience Store Woman, which has sold over 1 million copies worldwide, Earthlings is a spellbinding novel about childhood dreams and adulthood rebellion. Natsuki is a young girl who feels like she's been dropped into her family from an alien planet. Her best friend is a plush toy hedgehog named Pyut, and her only human friend is her cousin Yu. Natsuki and Yu spend their summers in the wild mountains of Nagano, dreaming of other worlds. When a terrible sequence of events threatens to part the children forever, they make a promise: survive no matter what. Now, Natsuki's grown, living a quiet life with her asexual husband, but dark shadows and societal pressure is pursuing her. Fleeing the suburbs of the mountains of her childhood, Natsuki prepares herself for a reunion with Yu. Will he still remember their promise, and will he help her keep it? Dreamlike and wonderful, Earthlings cements Murata's standing as a master chronicler of our own uncanny universe. Now, that's true. That's all true. That's what this is. But it's incredibly dark. It's incredibly dark. So, like the back. Okay, so first, the warnings. This book deals with topics that are so wildly uncomfortable. I'd be reading the book and I'd just be like, oh my God, out loud. Or I'd be flipping the page and I get to another part, I'd be like, oh, Jesus. It's uncomfortable to read. And I knew going into it that this was going to be weird, but as you know, 2024 and now moving into 2025 has been my full embracing of loving weird books about weird people, especially weird women. But the content of this is so incredibly dark. It's a beautifully written story, and I didn't dislike it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't. There are certain people that are going to read this and get it and enjoy it, but I'm looking at you. Whoever you are that needs to hear this, look up the content warnings before you read it, because it goes from childhood sexual assault all the way through to cannibalism, and everything you can imagine in between. So, it did what other books are sometimes too afraid to do. When you're reading a book and you know that a thing happened, but it kind of happens off the page, and it happened, but you're able to look away because you're not shown it. She shows it. She shows it all, and forces you to look at it, and it's painful. So anyway, like the back of the book said, we've got Natsuki, and when we meet her, she's 11 years old, and she's in a family that really doesn't care for her at all. She's incredibly verbally abused and mentally abused by her mother, especially, who just doesn't care for her. Is constantly telling her that she's a loser and she's no good, and she kind of internalizes that and believes it. And like the book said, when she goes to her grandparents' summer homes to see all the cousins and aunts and uncles, and her and one cousin in particular have a very close relationship. And her and this cousin both kind of believe that they are from a different planet. She's like, I'm not from here. Earth, not my home. And she's got this little guy, Pewit, I think is how you say that. And he's a little stuffed hedgehog, and she believes that he's also from whatever planet that she's from, and they've got each other, and he gives her magic. And then she grows up. It's 23 years later. She now has a husband who she found like on a website where they were both kind of looking for a spouse so they could get their families off their backs. Neither of them are very interested in actually being married or having kids or being intimate. And so it's a marriage of convenience that for a while works out really well for both of them. And then she ends up running into her cousin again later on. So that's all I'll say without any spoilers. Again, don't read it. Don't you read it unless you look up all the warnings, and heed me when I say, like, I love weird books. The weirder the better a lot of the times, but this one was pushing it for me. And because of the nature of the content and how young little Natsuki is at the beginning, it was so heartbreaking and uncomfortable. I've actually got her newest book, Sayaka Murata, that's coming out, I think in April, called Vanishing World, and I've got that waiting for me on NetGalley. So, like I said, it's a very well told story. It's about, society's pressures, especially on women, and what it means to live in a society that's very much a group society, because it takes place in Japan. So, like, very much a group society versus an individualistic society, which is more what we have here in the West. Everyone for themselves, where in Japan it's more of a group effort. And yeah, so if you don't want any spoilers, but like I said, I don't know what kind of spoilers I'll be able to tell you without getting this video removed, but now's the time to click away, and thank you for watching, and don't forget to look up the warnings. And again, I don't recommend it. Some people, maybe you will read it and love it, but some people just really won't. So if you read it and you hated it, remember, I didn't recommend it to you. And thank you for watching. All right, now that they're gone, I mean, what else can I tell you? It's you begin to see as it goes on, because the cousin, he's also in a family that doesn't treat him right. So the two of them, as they're like sort of talking together about how they're not from this planet, and one day they're going to, find that spaceship and escape back to their home planet it has a name. I cannot pronounce it. It's like Popian. I'd have to find it again to see the word, but we're just going to call it a home planet. And you can tell this is a coping mechanism for them, for the abuse that they suffer at home at the hands of their families. And like for Natsuki in particular, like this, she's being abused when she's 11 years old by a teacher. And she tries to tell people, but nobody believes her. They're like, him? He's so handsome. He wouldn't be interested in you. You're a loser and you're a child. But she is being abused by him, and eventually kills him, as she should. But yeah, so we see her talking about the superpowers that this little guy is giving her, and she's like, oh, I can leave my body. So it's like, she's calling them magical powers, but of course, as you're reading it, you're like, oh, these are literal abuse coping mechanisms, like disassociation. Like she's trying to cope any way that she can, and she has nobody to help her. So then when she goes to the family gatherings, and her and you begin to form a very tight relationship, they mistake it as romantic feelings because they don't know what familial love should feel like. And that becomes a whole thing and they get caught because Natsuki's like, we should be married and do what married people do. And they get caught, and then she doesn't see him for 23 years. And it's just the story of two broken kids who are trying their best to make their way in this world. And it's incredibly sad and incredibly off-putting. And just the ending, I don't even know how to describe to you the ending. The ending finds the three of them, the husband, because Natsuki eventually finds a husband who is asexual, isn't interested in a physical relationship, which she is like, that's perfect. Because, of course, she was so abused when she was a kid by that teacher. She's not interested in it either at this point. She's like, no, I'm not interested. And so it works out good, but eventually they get found out that they're not doing their marriage duties to create children, and like their parents get involved. It's a whole thing. They're being chided, and like his parents are like, look, if it's her, if she's the problem, you can leave her and go find someone younger, whatever. It's wild. And then the final ending, it felt like getting hit in the face with a shovel. When we got to that final scene, that's what it felt like somebody smacked me in the face with a shovel. It's surrealist. It's wild. It's horror for sure. So don't let this cover fool you, and don't let the blurb fool you. Because like I said, I knew going in it was going to be weird, but based on the blurb, like I didn't fully grasp what I was getting into, and I don't know that I would have if I did. Maybe I still would have. Maybe that's quite possible. But it's left me speechless. So that tells you, I don't know what I'm going to rate this. I don't know what. Maybe a 3. Because the writing's too good for it to be a 1 or a 2. The subject matter is dark and heavy, but that shouldn't retract too much from the rating, right? So I think a 3. 3. I don't think I can go to 4. I don't think. Part of me wants to. Part of me's like, no, give it a 4. I don't know that I can. So there you go. That's Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. And I can't wait. That said, I can't wait to read Vanishing World, which is her forthcoming one. And I've heard so many good things about Convenience Store Woman. So I might check that one out too in the future. Which I've heard, is weird, but doesn't go this hard. Doesn't go this hard. If you've read it, I would love to know your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear what you thought of it. Because I would love to talk to somebody about it. So if you've read it, leave a comment. If you want to talk about it, my Instagram and Blue Sky links are in the description box. And that's going to do it for me for today. But I will see you guys again real soon. Bye.